do as good as oh, sorry. I wouldn't do as good throughout the college process. And now going to Boston University, I've implemented a lot of the ideas that she gave and used it. I also developed professional and personal connections with supervisors and colleagues, as I want to highlight that one of my colleagues is Ethiopian and I'm Ethiopian myself. So we've ended up creating such a really good bond with one another. And typically you don't see Ethiopians in the healthcare force. So it's just nice seeing like a representation of yourself. And a time I want to highlight where I've connected with my colleagues was when they threw me a birthday surprise and we all sat down with one another and talked to one another about our experiences growing up. And it was just such a nice time and how we didn't always need to focus on work. So I really appreciated that. Next slide. Reflection. So throughout my time here, I've enhanced my communication skills and Excel skills. A way I enhanced my communication skills was always communicating my needs with others. Over time, I've always felt like I kept things to myself. And throughout my time here, I've realized that communication is really key when it comes to certain tasks you have to do. Excel skills I use every day as I put in file requests together. Next topic is appreciate teamwork. I wanted to highlight how this one time I dropped a bunch of bios and this was near closing time along with my colleagues. And we all ended up staying together to pull the bios and put them back together, which took an hour. And honestly, without them, I think it would have taken way longer. So I honestly wanted to take the time to appreciate that. I've also improved time management over time, which is emphasized throughout Dana-Farber, and it shows my complete interest within the program. And lastly, becoming independent, because the older I grow, it's shown how much responsibility and accountability I hold. So that's another skill that I've learned as well. Next slide. Acknowledgement. I wanted to acknowledge Candace, Doreen, Rachida, Sandy, my workshop presenters, and the Pastoral Tissue Bank team, especially Flora, Tammy, Elizabeth, and Katie. I honestly appreciate you guys because without you guys, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you so much. Next slide. And thank you. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Axum. Any questions for Axum? All right, I see your supervisor, Doreen, in the room. So thank you for joining us and thank you for supporting our students. Okay, we'll move on to our next presenter, Kayla, who works in social work. Kayla?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla Alves, and I'm a sophomore at John D. O'Brien, and I'm currently a part of the Psychosocial Oncology and Palliative Care Social Work Department. And my supervisor, whom I work with, is Sarah Ford. And today I'll be giving everyone my personal insight on my journey with Dana-Farber this past year. Next slide. Social work is part of the Psychosocial Oncology and Palliative Care Department, also known as POPC. POPC helps patients and their families maintain the best quality of life. We have trained doctors, nurses, pharmacists, psychologists, and social workers who work closely with the patients and other members of the healthcare team. I work directly with the social workers. Social work sees patients by referral by patient family members and staff, and some of the reasons of referrals include, but not limited to, depression and anxiety, high levels of distress in response to diagnosis and treatment, complicated end-of-life dynamics, and so much more. Next slide. From this past year of working with the social work department, some tasks I've accomplished include things like updating support group information, tracking attendance, and processing documentation for professional development seminars, along with assisting administrative teams with triaging patient requests. These are all important for my position because I organize and keep track to make sure my peers are completing the tasks assigned to them and making sure they are on time for important meetings as well. Next slide. So to start off, as this being my first job, I had to learn and cooperate with the work-life balance. Considering school is also online, I had to create a schedule where I'm able to finish my schoolwork and make sure I'm ready and prepared for work. With me creating a schedule, I learned to know what my priorities are and what I need to get done in X amount of time. During the summer, we would engage in specific workshops that highlight factors on how to properly budget your time and money, or even looking into the works of the way Excel is used in a proper manner. So personally, I was able to grow from there and apply that to my assignments for work, or perhaps even my daily life routine. in which these types of workshops encouraged me to realign my own to-dos and to-don'ts as I'm learning on becoming a young professional adult in this world. Things such as writing emails or talking to my peers in a professional tone. This is important considering you as an individual is trying to make a good impression with those around you in the workplace. Leading on to my next point about professionalism. Working here so far, I've learned that professional attire helps you look important and that you really take pride in the work, which is important because that is how you attract other workers, as well as making those connections that can help you further your career and opportunities, also showing that you're an attentive worker. Next slide. So as being part of Dana-Farber so far, I can definitely say that this has been an interesting experience. For me, as this being my first job, it was hard navigating the professional environment. There are some important skills one must have to be a successful individual and set good representation for the workers along with Dana-Farber itself. So throughout my journey this year, I have learned things that have worked for me in order to accomplish that, along with things that I needed to work on. But at the end of the day, it feels nice to know that you have a support group for you, along with your peers cheering you on and encouraging you to make the best decisions. During the summer program, we had book clubs, which I really enjoyed. A college student, Williams, helped and guided me and provided me resources, or if I even wanted to vent, he was a mentor who was there with all ears. Along with that, I was able to build a stronger bond with my peers because there would be certain times where we all would talk about things that helped us get a better understanding of each other. As we are speaking on guidance, I would also love to shout out my supervisor, Sarah Ford, who truly guided me through the right direction and always communicated with me on how I can improve in what I'm doing well on. Sometimes in life, you may steer off the road, but as long as you get right back on, that's what shows your character. Sarah wanted to bring out the best in me, and she did, and I'm so excited to work with her and see what the future holds for our department. As I come to a close, there are so many opportunities that this program offers us. One thing that really impacted me was the time I was able to meet cancer survivor patients. As they were sharing out their experience, they taught us how to be strong-minded and how to organize when life doesn't go your way. With that being said, I'm so excited to see what Dana-Farber has planned for us interns as we continue to grow and be the successful young individuals that we are planning on becoming. Next slide. I would now like to acknowledge Candace Burns, Fedora Adelier, Sarah Ford, Rachida Hironyake, Sandy Nguyen, Felicia Samedo, Malia Wasim in the Social Work Department. Thank you for those who truly made my experience working here this year amazing, as I'm looking forward on continuing to grow with my members and staff of this program. Next, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
All right. Great job, Kayla. Any questions? Be sure to check out the chat, Kayla. There's some messages in there for you. Okay, we'll keep moving along. Our next speaker is a college student who has been with us for a few years. He'll share his story shortly. So Marvendi Brutus works for Cancer Immunology and Virology.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marvendi Brutus. I'm 19 years old and currently a freshman at Southern New Hampshire University. I'm studying in the field of business. This past summer and academic year, I had the pleasure to work in the Department of Cancer Immunology and Virology, also known as CIV, alongside of my supervisor, Thomas Charles. The Department of Cancer Immunology and Virology is dedicated to conducting research in hopes of developing a cure and better treatment for patients suffering with wide range of diseases, from diabetes, AIDS, and all forms of cancers. The department is also dedicated to the development and enrichment of young researchers, which can be seen through their partnership with Harvard Medical School. Through my work with my supervisor, I got the opportunity to learn a lot about the lab, its structure, how it functions, and the staff that runs it. Oh, no. The department is made up of many principal investigators, also known as PIs, who work and collaborate on a diverse group of research projects. Not only that, each PI has their own lab and work closely with Harvard Medical School to appoint different postdoctoral and research fellows into their program in order to help them better their skills and learn more about the labs by working and having hands-on experience in research projects. I would also like to shout out the CIV administration team, which works closely with a lot of the PIs and different aspects of the department to make the lab able to function as well as it does. Next slide, please. Working at CIV this past year, I lived vicariously to my supervisor, Charles. This was a great opportunity for me, as Charles has a lot of the skills and is in a person that I hope to have in the future, and is in a position that I find truly appealing. Thankfully, I got to help him in different aspects of his work, and which helped me get a better understanding of how the lab's function in general. My work at CIV consisted mainly of two parts: my weekly schedule and my projects. My weekly schedule consisted of daily tasks, which structured my week, as can be seen below, and those tasks were mostly made of updating the CIV screen, processing personal change and personal error forms, iLabs ordering, and processing employee timesheets. Along with my daily task, I also got the opportunity to work on a variety of projects. Those projects pertain to many areas of the lab, from budgeting to equipment management to lab maintenance. And those projects were crucial to helping me develop the great understanding of the lab that I did, and to also teach me a lot of the hard skills that are necessary to successfully run a department. Some of my favorite projects and most significant projects were the CIV jacket distribution, the lab budget sheet projections, bio sketches and other support work, the grant project, the CIV purchasing invoice project, and work order request. Next slide, please. As I work on various projects, I learned a lot about the importance of having a healthy balance between pace and efficiency. When working on a project, my work was mostly detailed oriented, and I would have to focus on a lot of small details such as commas, spacing, decimal points, and etc. However, I also had a lot of projects, as can be seen through my project list and my schedules, and having to balance both being efficient when working on a project and being on time and fulfilling all my projects and to-dos during the week taught me a lot about having a healthy balance between efficiency and pace. I also had the chance to be mentored by my supervisor. This was an amazing opportunity for me, as it allowed me to translate a lot of the information that I had learned from working on my projects and in the department to a personal level. This helped me get a better understanding of the skills necessary to succeed in the financial field, as well as learn a lot about it. Not only so, the guidance I received from Charles in our mentorship meeting gave me the foundation that I need to start thinking and preparing and working on my career path. Next slide, please. I have interned in 4 departments so far: CMCF, OGC, breast oncology, and now CIV. My years in the program and each experience in each of those departments have vastly contributed to the person who I am today. I'm proud of the growth that I have been through and all that I've experienced during my years in the program. I first applied to the program the summer of my freshman year in high school, but was not able to participate. I reapplied the following summer and began working at CMCF both the summer and the academic year. This was my first job experience, and it taught me a lot about professionalism and the work environment. The following summer, I got the opportunity to work at OGC, where I worked and interviewed many of the lawyers in the department. I was also an MLK student that summer, which is a program designed to teach students about financial literacy. This and my experience overall this summer really sparked my interest into the financial field. I then transitioned to the Department of Breast Oncology, where I really got to work on all of the skills that I had previously learned and identify some areas which I needed to work on more. Finally, this has led me to CIV and to the person who I am today, a 20-year-old freshman at Southern New Hampshire University, interested in working in the financial field. Next slide. I would like to thank everyone that has been part of my support system during this journey, especially my family for being so supportive, Candice, Rachida, and Cindy for making this program possible, Charles, my supervisor, and for being a great mentor as well as a supervisor, and the CIV administration team for accepting me and welcoming me this past year. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, great job, Marvendi. I was just trying to read Charles's message to you. Thank you, Charles, so much for your time and your support and your mentorship to Marvendi. Any questions? Okay, we're gonna keep it moving. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Fedora, and she works at the Zakim Center. Fedora?
Hello, my name is Fedora Tellier. I'm currently a sophomore at John D. O'Brien School of Math and Science. I was first introduced to Dana-Farber during the Workforce Development Program, and I've had the privilege to extend that with the Zakim Center for Integrative Therapies and Healthy Living with my supervisor, Megan Acosta. Next slide, please. The mission of the Zakim Center is to utilize integrative therapies in order to alleviate pain for cancer patients at Dana-Farber. Whether it is remote or in person, the Zakim Center provides affordable and available resources for those in need. This fits into the DFCI mission because the center provides expert, compassionate care to patients with cancer while advancing the understanding, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of cancer, along with related diseases. Next slide, please. Essentially, my responsibilities would be to record and summarize the weekly attendance for Zakim Center virtual classes. This consisted of me using the Zoom application to take the number of attendees per certain class, then adding it to an Excel spreadsheet. Additionally, I would provide critique and feedback for the surveys Zakim would send out to participants of workshops as well as members. These surveys were significant to Zakim because it provided members with an insight of what to add and revise in our workshops, classes, and various programs. Furthermore, as a member of the Zakim Center, I myself would participate in several of the classes, including music meditation and Tai Chi. Adding on, I'll partake in virtual staff meetings monthly, as well as conduct information interviews with various members. Currently, completing LinkedIn Learning modules have been the highlight of my job and allows me to enhance my workplace skills, thus providing my best work for Zakim Center. Next slide, please. The skill set as a member of the Zakim Center includes a basic understanding of Microsoft application. This includes Microsoft Word, Excel, Spreadsheet, Outlook, and Teams. Moreover, an ability to adapt to new surroundings or an environment is critical considering events can change at any given moment. Organization, prioritization, and motivation are also instrumental since these attributes are what presents the best work. Finally, having an understanding of how to provide constructive feedback that can be used to revise something for the better is needed. Next slide, please. Dana-Farber Workforce Development Program is when I first became introduced to the world of professionalism. This program teaches young and aspiring role models how to act in a professional setting and why it's important we do so. Meetings with healthcare professionals or experiences, individuals in general, college workshops, book club meetings, and discussions as a collective unit have all been significant aspects of the program in which really engage interns to see the life they will one day take on in the future. I had the opportunity to expand my experience and become a member of the Zakim Center. The Zakim Center has taught me what it takes to really provide care for patients and those who are in need. Members of the Zakim Center care and evaluate the treatment of their patients, and through their work ethic, it is evident. Also, I learned other medical-related approaches in order to treat the effects of cancer other than chemotherapy and prescribed medication. Whereas integrative therapies such as acupuncture, meditation, and massage treat the side effects and are proven benefits for those who experience cancer. Other several aspects that I learned is how research and team work together in order to ensure everyone's safety and collaboration with the important role of clinicians and specialists. Next slide, please. I would like to personally acknowledge my supervisor, Megan Acosta, who has given me a supportive and encouraging hand throughout my internship. My parents, Viola and Faustine Teller, have pushed me consistently to take advantage of the opportunities they were not able to take a part of. And lastly, the Workforce Development team, because without them, the program would not function. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for listening. Are there any questions?
All right. Thank you so much, Fedora. Again, I'm I'm busy reading all the chats. Megan, would you mind unmuting and sharing?
Sure. So first, great job, Fedora. Again, I know we went through this last week, but wonderful, wonderful job throughout this entire year. And it's been a challenge working completely remotely and managing a lot of new uh, sorry, just lost my thought. New processes and procedures and software and meeting a ton of new people, but all virtually. You know, we haven't connected in person, and so that has been such a major challenge. You know, with us over the course of the year, but you've done amazing despite these difficulties, and you really contributed so much to the Zakem Center. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be continuing with working with you over the summer, which is very sad for me. But I hope to have an opportunity to work with you in the future, and wishing you the best of luck.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. Okay, our next speaker is Mariana, who works at on Yawkey 11 with Adult Ambulatory Services. Mariana?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So hi, my name is Mariana Gomez, and I'm a senior at the John D. O'Brien. This fall, I will be attending Northeastern University as a nursing major. Currently, I work on campus in the Adult Ambulatory Services on Yawkey 11 with my supervisors, Christina Hale and Gabriel Losada. And in this presentation, I will be discussing my experience at Dana-Farber. Next slide. My department focuses on genitourinary cancer and head and neck cancer. On Yawkey 11, we focus on providing the best individualized care for these patients, which is why there's a palliative care section in our department that helps patients cope with having cancer. In addition, we have exam rooms, consult rooms, and infusion rooms. Next slide. One of my responsibilities on the floor is to do chart preparation, which consists of creating a Word document where I calculate the total amount of patients there will be the next day and type where clinical assistants will be working the next day. My second task on the floor is to print out the schedules for all the providers and separate them based on each provider's department. My third task on the floor is to be a resource for patients and answer any questions they may have. In addition, I put purple sheets into a bin that notifies clinical assistants when a patient has arrived. Next slide. So I've learned conversational skills through answering patients' questions and talking to the medical professionals on the floor. In addition, I've learned how to use Microsoft Word and Epic in order to create the clinical assistant schedule and print out provider schedules. I also learned how to fax, copy, and print. I also learned resume skills through the different workshops and through my supervisor who helped me see different examples. Next slide. So on Yawkey 11, it was my first time. It was the first time I had seen such a diverse group of people in a hospital, especially having other fellow Hispanics like me, ranging from the clinical assistants to my own supervisor. Seeing another Hispanic in a high position was very inspiring, considering that I've only had family members work in cafeterial positions and custodial positions. Being on Yawkey 11 has given me the opportunity to experience a hospital environment and confirm that it is a place where I want to be. I've been able to cultivate relationships with patients by answering their questions or just making them feel less lonely during their visit. In addition, throughout the internship, I've been able to receive college tours, which affirmed my commitment to Northeastern University. Next slide. So I would like to thank my supervisors, Gabe and Chrissy, because they were super humble and reliable. I would also like to thank Candace, Rachida, and Sandy for allowing me to have this internship experience because it has really impacted my life in the best possible way. I also want to thank everyone on my floor for welcoming me with open arms. Next slide. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Does anyone have any questions?
All right. Great job, Mariana. As you can all hear and see that our students are doing real work. They're really contributing to the department and the overall mission of Dana-Farber. And so we're so proud of them. Okay, our next speaker, we're going to move on to Shannon Green, working in new patient coordination. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Green. I'm a senior at Boston Latin School and will be attending Regis College for Nursing in the fall. I participated in workforce development for both the summer and school year program in adult new patient coordination department with my supervisors, Brooke and Alyssa. Next slide. So what exactly is adult new patient coordination? New patient coordination prepares medical professionals for patient appointments by requesting and accepting medical information such as records and reports from other hospitals. New patient coordination allows for doctors to have medical records for their appointments, allowing for a more seamless experience for the patients. Now, how does this fit into Dana's mission? The mission of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute is to provide expert, compassionate care to children and adults with cancer while advancing the understanding, diagnosis, treatment, cure, and prevention of cancer and related diseases. What new patient coordination does is allow for compassionate care, making sure the patient's experience is as seamless and easy as possible. Next slide. New patient coordination enforces this compassionate care through looking over patients' medical information, using the patient's medical record number, or an MRN, which is a six-digit ID number on Epic, seeing when as well as where all their appointments are. And then new patient coordination will fill out a CD upload form with the patient's name, MRN, appointment, and appointment date. This new switch to working remotely made it hard for the people at home to complete this task. In the last few weeks, a fully online model has been created where the CDs are already at the imaging lab, and instead of a physical form, it's emailed directly to whomever needs it. This change is far more efficient, and because of this, it allowed me the opportunity to work with a record specialist. Similar to new patient coordination, a record specialist looks at a patient's information and is able to request exactly what the doctor will need during their upcoming visit from hospitals across the US. And if we look at the next slide, there's an image of what one of the CD upload forms looks like. Next slide. Working at Dana-Farber allowed me to see a whole other aspect to healthcare. We often think of nurses and doctors when we think of hospitals, but there are so many others who are needed to keep a hospital running. As a student trainee, it has given me experiences within a hospital before I enter college, giving me the chance to not only learn about a part of healthcare I wasn't aware of prior to my internship, but also connect with my supervisors to discuss my future in college as well as out. I was able to speak with both Brooke as well as Alyssa about the college process. Since I'm a first-generation college student, it was really beneficial for me to hear from others about their personal experiences regarding this process. This opportunity has allowed me to see more into the world of healthcare, and because of that, I've seen all the different paths healthcare has to offer. It has allowed me to see the potential of working in different fields within the hospital. Next slide. I want to give a special thanks to my supervisors, Brooke and Alyssa, as well as the workforce development team, Candace, Rashida, and Sandy, for giving me this amazing opportunity. Next slide. Thank you again, and does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Shannon. Be sure to read that comment in the chat. Comments, I meant. Any questions for Shannon? Okay, don't be shy, everyone.
Is there any specific field that you're interested in, like pursuing?
Yeah, so I'm going into nursing, but prior to making that decision, I was really on the fence with going into nursing school or becoming a PA, and talking to a bunch of different people kind of allowed me to realize that I can use nursing as kind of like a start. And if I want to continue my career and go to college again, I can do that. But I've been able to take the time to really realize that nursing is where I want to be.
Great. Thank you for that question, Diana. Our next presenter is Anna, and she works for POPC, Psychosocial Oncology and Palliative Care. Anna?
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I'm a rising senior at Fenway High School, and this is my first year being a part of the Dana-Farber Student Workforce Program. I aspire to be a psychologist, and because of my interest in psychology, I was placed in the Psychosocial Oncology Palliative Care Department. My supervisors are Amanda Bryant and Ale Mejia. Next slide, please. The Psychosocial Oncology and Palliative Care's mission, also known as POPC, is to help patients and their families maintain the best quality of life during and after treatment, with a team focused on tackling critical issues that patients and patients' families may be coping with. There are 5 divisions to their mission. There is adult palliative care, adult psychosocial oncology, adult social work, pediatric palliative care, and pediatric psychosocial oncology. Within each of these divisions, patients are offered unique services such as one-on-one sessions with patients, support groups, as well as programming for young adults and bereavement support. This fits with Dana-Farber overall mission to provide expert, compassionate care to children and adults with cancer because it's accommodating to cancer patients and their family needs. Next slide, please. My role in my department is to support my supervisors with the administrative work. My contribution to the department's mission is to help the office run efficiently by providing structure to other employees as they provide services to patients. I do this by sorting, distributing mail and faxes that come in, helping with putting together program information for families who have lost a loved one, while also organizing the pediatric advanced care team resources and materials, as well as maintaining the POPC community referral database, which consists of gathering information on practitioners from different hospitals and putting them into one Excel sheet. Next slide, please. Skills that I've developed in my experience in POPC are communication skills, which consists of following with emails, verbal communication with coworkers, transferring community referrals in a database, self-management skills, and organization skills, which consists of managing inventory and following a daily checklist of tasks. Next slide. Being a part of the student training program has really brought me out of my comfort zone in so many good ways, and I couldn't have been any more grateful. It has exposed me to a new world besides school where my knowledge and skills could be put into action. Because of this, I now have a much larger perspective of 2 aspects of life, being a student as well as being a workforce member. Being a part of the workforce has really helped me learn the importance of professionalism and the essence of collaboration. Both very important aspects of life that will help me navigate future opportunities. Next slide. Moments in the workplace that really have stood out to me are the ones where I'm able to share a smile or a laugh with those around me, like being on calls with my supervisors or passing by coworkers and simply acknowledging each other's presence with a hello or a good afternoon. These moments are memorable to me because it brings a human aspect to the workplace, and it makes it a lot easier to work as a team. This helps me keep in mind how necessary it is to be compassionate with patients and families because it can really make their experience much more enjoyable. And considering my future aspirations of being a psychologist, I can understand how influential it is to be mindful and compassionate to one another because it can have a positive effect on human behavior. As for memorable experiences within the program are the virtual college tours where I'm able to get that extra help with college decision, as well as that mindfulness workshops where I learn about the importance of being mindful of my own body, especially during these stressful times. Next slide. Lastly, I would like to give a special thanks to Candace, Ratchet, and Sandy for making this happen, and my supervisors, Amanda and Ali, for being patient and supporting me throughout the whole internship. Next slide. Thank you all for being here. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Anna. Great job. Any questions? Okay, we'll keep it moving. Our next presenter is Miriam Lawal, and she works with patient and family programs and services. Miriam?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Lawal, and I am a senior at the John D. O'Brien School of Mathematics and Science. I'll be attending Simmons University as a nursing major. I currently work under the patient and family programs and services, but specifically the resource office, and my supervisor is Amanda Antonio. Next slide, please. So the Patient and Family Programs Resource mission is to serve patients and their families by providing programs, resources, information, and services that complement clinical care. And the Resources Office mission is committed to reducing barriers for medically undeserved patients and loved ones. Next slide, please. In this department, I have a few job responsibilities, one of them being filing Joe and Juicy applications. So the Joe and Juicy Foundation is a nonprofit organization that financially supports cancer patients who reside in New England. They're eligible to receive up to $800 for non-medical expenses such as car payments, rent, and mortgage. I'm also part of the Holiday Patient Assistance Program, which provides gift cards during the holiday seasons. And this typically includes Market Basket, Stop and Shop, Target, Walmart gift cards. I'm also responsible for submitting PT1s, which is a free transportation service for medical appointments. They are provided for patients who are fully covered under Mass Health, and they have access to medical facilities such as Dana-Farber and Brigham Women's. Additional projects that I've worked on are updating our transportation list, which is a resource that we use, and also updating QuickBase records for patients missing the state field. Next slide, please. In this department, I've gained a few skills. One of them is using QuickBase. So QuickBase is a database and application platform, and I typically use this in order to track the PT1s that I've submitted. Epic is a healthcare company that holds medical records, and I use this in order to file Joe and Juicy applications. And I've also improved my communication skills by speaking with patients. Next slide, please. My story. Being a student trainee has increased my professional world and understanding my job responsibilities, and also challenged my comfort zone. In the summer, we learned about how transportation is an important factor for patients to access care, and it was a pleasure being in a department that supported transportation needs. Next slide, please. Reflection. Working remotely was challenging but impactful. I feel like I've grown in so many areas such as my confidence, professionalism, and my communication skills. Being able to manage time between work and school is preparing me for my future. Experiences. I've gained so many experiences being a student trainee, but my favorite experience was speaking with sweet and joyful patients on the phone. I remember one day I called the patient informing them that they were eligible to receive a gift card, but they denied that because they believed that someone else should receive that. And that made my day because it showed how empathetic she was, but also showed how patients care for one another. Next slide, please. Acknowledgements. I would love to acknowledge Amanda Antonia for being an amazing supervisor, but also gave me positive feedback that helped me grow as a person. Candace and Rachida for allowing me to be a student trainee. Sandy for guiding me throughout the college process, and work guest speakers. It was a pleasure being a student trainee this academic year, and I wouldn't have gained this much experience without everyone's support. Thank you. Any questions?
Great job, Miriam. A nice note from your supervisor, Amanda. I know you did it, Miriam. I know you were nervous, but you did it. Great job. Any questions for Miriam? Okay. All right, our next speaker is Nee, and she works in GI oncology. Nee?
Yes, hello. Hi, my name is Nee, and I am a sophomore at John D. O'Brien High School. I've been working with the SCI since summer of 2020, and I'm currently in the GI oncology department with my supervisor, Maureen Lofters. Nice to see you all here. Next slide, please. Gastrointestinal oncology, also known as GI oncology. They treat patients with colon, pancreas, gastric, and other GI cancers. They also conduct research on the methods that can detect these cancers early and how to best treat them. It is very important to detect any types of cancer early so that the doctors can help the patient expand their life expectancy as much as possible. Next slide, please. I've been working with different projects from different research managers. So in the beginning of the year, one of my jobs was entering patient demographics, day of diagnosis, MSI status, family of family history of cancers, and I collect all of this information from Epic. I also request tissue sample from Mass General Hospital and Brigham Women Hospital and enter data in REDCap database on sample use for past projects. So I check smoking status from each patient on Epic and enter the data in REDCap. Next slide, please. During the program, I realized that my communication skills improved a lot. I learned how to communicate professionally to Ratchet, my supervisor, and other people in the program via email. I also learned how to balance my time between homework and the work at DFCI so well that at the end of the day, I don't have so much stress and also have more time for myself. Now, by finding information in Epic and entering data in REDCap and Excel, I'm more familiar with Epic and REDCap and also know more tricks in Excel. I think these skills are very important in my resume and also very useful for my future jobs. Next slide, please. In GI oncology department, I am able to network with different researchers and with other young people in the team. And it makes me realize that there are many different careers in healthcare, and not just doctors or nurses. The most important thing is that during the summer program, I've learned how to be professional in person as well as virtually, like on Zoom. I learned how important it is to be on time in every meeting, no matter if it's virtual or in person. I also know more, I also know more colleges in Massachusetts, which is very helpful for me as a sophomore high school student. My favorite workshop was the one with Karen Hinz. Her advice on being more confident and speaking our minds inspired me a lot because one of my struggles is to tell people my opinion and what I want. Next slide. A special thanks to Maureen and my colleagues in the department for welcoming me into the team and introduced me to great projects and answering all the questions that I have. Especially Maureen, I'm grateful for all of your help and all the time that we spent on Zoom together, even though it's just only a few minutes. And I also would like to thank Candace, Rachel, and Sandy for creating this opportunity that allowed me to develop many skills that are very useful in the future. And thank you all of you here today for listening. Any question for me?
I just wanted to say great job, Nee. You did a great job this academic year, and we're really excited to have you this summer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen, for your support and mentorship. I also see Anamal in the crowd, who's also an alumni of our program, who is working as a full-time employee for GI oncology. So thanks for joining us. Any questions for Nee? All right. Okay, we'll move on to our next speaker. Aisha Mahamud works in cord blood donation program. Sorry about that. Aisha?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Aisha Mahmood. I'm a sophomore at Dearborn STEM Academy. I've been working at Dana-Farber for about 2 years. In 2019, I completed an online internship program with Dana-Farber, while in 2020 to 2021, I'm currently working at Dana-Farber under the supervision of Mindy Leon, who's the program manager of DFCI/BWH cord blood donation program. Next slide. Department mission and function. Why do we bank cord blood? Next slide. For some of you guys who don't know what a placenta is attached to the mother's uterus and provides the baby with nutrient while they grow. The cord blood is the blood that remains in the placenta and the umbilical cord after a baby is born. Normally, the cord and placenta are thrown away after birth. However, the Dana-Farber/Brigham and Women's Hospital cord blood donation program allows patients to donate their baby's cord blood to be used in cancer treatment. Next slide. Reason to use cord blood. Umbilical cord blood contains blood-forming stem cells, which can renew themselves and specialize into other types of cells. Stem cells are basically a new cell. All of our original cells were stem cells at one point. Stem cells can be used in transplant for patients with cancer like leukemia and lymphoma. Cord blood can also be used to treat blood diseases like sickle cell anemia. There are also research studies investigating if the cord blood can be used to treat neurological conditions like cerebral palsy and autism. Next slide. Responsibility. ISS donation coordinators and confidential entry data entry, quality control paperwork reviews, and concurrent documentation of cord blood collections. Concurrent documentation means that it's important to write things down as they happen to ensure that your research paper and data information is accurate. The paperwork that I talked about are important because our research is checked by the FDA, which is the Federal Drug Administration, so no complications are made when the lab receives the paperwork. Observation of cord blood collections, informed consent procedures, and obtaining medical histories. Ensemble of study packets, body kits, and educational materials for patients. Next slide. Can you go back a slide? There's supposed to be a skill slide, I'm sorry. Okay, skills. You need to obtain a high level of maturity because we're talking about female reproductive system and birth. You need the ability to be professional while you talk to patients. You also need to know some common knowledge of birth terminology. You need a high attention to detail since we enter confidential information and it must be accurate. You need the ability to follow HIPAA regulations. HIPAA creates the laws that healthcare and research professionals must follow to protect patient privacy, information, data. You also need computer software skills like Master Control, MS Data Entry System, Epic, and Microsoft Office. Early on, Dana-Farber didn't partner with my school, Dearborn, so I had to go through what we called a career exploration program, which really helped me get a better understanding of what to expect with Dana-Farber. And since then, I have learned a lot on how to be a better student and intern, like how to be accountable for keeping my work schedule clear and how to manage my time wisely. I also love how Dana-Farber builds a supportive community with students and colleagues. I love how every student is ready to engage and go out of their comfort zone. And I love how welcoming they were to everyone, especially since I didn't know anyone in the beginning. Next slide. My reflection. In this internship, I have learned a lot about cord blood through my supervisor, Amanda, who was one of my biggest role models in my life. She's super understanding. My supervisor, Amanda, and I had experience in the cord blood. I got to see my supervisor do her job in front of patients. It was cool how she was able to see when it was a good time to talk to mothers who were going through labor, to see when it wasn't okay because the mother wasn't feeling right. Amanda has also given me the ability to interact with staff members such as the nurses, doctors, and people on the floor who are helping the patients. Next slide. I would like to acknowledge Candace Byrne, Rachel Hariake, Amanda Leon, Deborah Liney, and Sandy Nguyen. Next slide. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
All right, great job, Aisha. Any questions for Aisha? Okay, I have a quick question, Aisha. I know you came into the program originally interested in a career in pharmacy. So has this experience in cord blood donation program kind of broadened your perspective in a different career?
I would still like to go and become a pharmacist, but being in the cord blood donation program, it has really allowed me to see a new level of how the hospital actually works and how much people it actually works with concerning the mothers and the patients. I actually kind of like cord blood, being a cord blood donation collector as well. It's kind of make me second guessing whether I really want to become a pharmacist since I've been trained to become a cord blood donation program collector.
Great, thank you. You still have time to decide, but thank you. Thanks for sharing. Our next presenter is Ziham Mohammed, who works in pediatric neuro-oncology. Ziham?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I can't find you to pin you. Hold on 1 second. Can you talk so you're square? I see
Can you
you.
hear me now? Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Siha Mohammed. I'm a freshman student at Simmons University, majoring in neuroscience with a minor in biostatistics and chemistry. This year, I was an intern at the Pediatric Neuro-Oncology Department with my supervisor, Anu, and I've been working as a student intern at Dana-Farber since the summer of 2028. Next. Our department mission. The Pediatric Neuro-Oncology Program provides care to children with central nervous system malignancy through a compassionate, multidisciplinary, evidence-based, and research-oriented approach. Next. Responsibility. So in my department, I help my supervisor with creating spreadsheets and making recalls for the patient's upcoming appointments. I take the data information from PowerChart, a platform which Boston Children's Hospital uses, organize patients' follow-up appointment on Excel, and then enter the data in Epic. I also help my supervisor research and find resources for our patients. The type of resources that I research are things that can help our patients after their clinical trial, such as adaptive driving, living, housing, and education. Next. Skills. In my current department, I was able to improve my communication skills, increase my attention to detail, and improve my skills with working with different platforms such as data entrance, such as Epic, Excel, and PowerChart. Next. So my story. I learned about the program during my sophomore year in high school in 2018, when Rachida came to O'Brien to talk about the internship. I was excited because it was going to be my first experience working in a hospital. The first department that I worked in was patient accounting. And in this department, I made phone calls to hospice, and I also printed, organized, record, and deliver medical files record throughout my department. In the next summer, I was able to work in cancer immunology and virology with my supervisor, Charles, at that time. And I was able to scan and organize data found in the lab into the computer. During my senior year, I worked in the head and neck oncology with Farizana, and I communicated with other hospitals requiring patients' tissue sample for a clinical trial that the physician had to sign off. And I also had to update patients' medical record and return patients' medicine to the pharmacy. Throughout middle school and the beginning of high school, I was never comfortable speaking or raising my hand in class, which ended up hurting my grades. I never had the courage to self-advocate for myself. Starting working at Dana-Farber has helped me step out of my comfort zone. Being able to be in a professional setting has encouraged me to learn how to communicate not only with my supervisor, but my coworkers in the department. This has also helped me in my personal and school life because I'm more likely to speak up when I do not understand the concept. Dana-Farber has also helped me have a new perspective when looking into healthcare. Before I started, I believed the hospital only had doctors and nurses. Now learning about all the different departments, I can see that there's so many people that work together to make what Dana-Farber is today. Next. So Dana-Farber has opened so many doors for me during high school and college. And the years of being part of Dana-Farber has helped me find my field of interest, build a confidence, and open up myself to new experience. Dana-Farber has made me feel a sense of belonging. Being able to work here really makes me feel like a part of a family. In Dana-Farber, we're not only getting the internship experience of the program, but we're having professional development, college readiness, and life skill workshop. For example, we learn about personal finances and how to take care of ourselves. The workshop that I liked the most was HMS Med Science. This workshop gave us 2 medical emergency simulations, and we had to work together to get the information needed from the patients so when they reach the hospital, we'll be able to fully help them. Most importantly, the college tour with the program has helped me determine which college I was going to apply for, because being a first-generation college student, I was not aware of the process of applying and paying for colleges. Next. So to conclude, I want to thank Rachida, Candace, Sandy, everyone within the workforce development, my supervisor Anu, and my family for always guiding me throughout my journey at Dana-Farber and throughout high school and college. Being part of Dana-Farber has given me so many opportunities in the healthcare that I finally know what I'm interested in studying in college and finding my path in the medical field. Next. Thank you. Any questions?
No questions, but I just wanted to say we are so lucky to have you. Thank you so much for everything that you do, Siham.
Thank you, Anu, for joining us, and thank you for supervising, mentoring. I know we ran into each other this morning in general services. I'm happy to see your new staff member joining the presentation. That's awesome. Welcome. Thank you, Ziham, and thank you, everyone. Just so you know, Ziham was, she brought it. She brought it today. Great job, and love the confidence. And it's just been a pleasure watching you grow into the young professional you are today. So keep it up. Any questions for Ziham? All right, we'll move on to Katia on Yaki 8.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katia Moran. I just finished my first semester of college at Bunker Hill. I have worked at Dana-Farber since October 2019. And this school year, I worked in the ambulatory practice management department with my supervisors, Keisha Boyd and Barbara Jones. Next slide, please. Yaki 8 deals with patients that have leukemia and lymphoma. Therefore, the mission of our floor is to provide expert and compassionate care to build a community for people that are going through trauma. Dana-Farber has a system built to advance clinical care, optimize patient safety, enhance the patient experience, and provide a welcoming and nourishing environment. The services that are offered at Yaki 8 are vitals and EKGs that clinical assistants complete to check how the patients are doing and feeling before the patients see their provider. Next slide, please. My days at work are usually similar. When I arrive in the mornings, I sit at my desk and prepare to organize the purple papers. Now you might ask yourself, what are the purple papers? A purple paper is a sheet of paper with the patient's information that helps the clinical assistants, doctors, and nurses know who they're seeing. Another really important part of my job is to help the clinical assistants page and or call the doctors and nurses to keep a consistent flow. This way, patients can be seen by the providers as quickly as possible. Occasionally, as I sit at my desk, patients come up to ask me questions. I give them my best response, and when I don't know the answer, I simply ask a clinical assistant for help. The last part of my daily job's responsibility is to make the next day's schedule for the clinical assistants. Making the schedule is really important because this helps the clinical assistants know exactly how many patients they're going to see the next day and helps keep the floor organized because the clinical assistants know exactly what room the providers are going to be in the next day. Next slide, please. Working on Yaki 8 has allowed me to see both the clinical assistant experience and also the patient experience. I know that a lot of patients on our floor are going through a rough time, which is why I believe that part of my job is to remain with a friendly demeanor. By doing such an act, I hope to make the patient experience a little less stressful and overwhelming. Another skill that I gained while working on Yaki 8 is to have excellent interpersonal skills. I have to be ready at any time to listen and to talk to patients, doctors, and clinical assistants so that the communication on our floor is good. Since I'm the one that gets called to keep the communication between the CAs, doctors, and nurses, I have learned to write down what I get told so that I can follow directions to the best of my abilities. Lastly, I gained new skills when making the daily schedules and how to use Microsoft Words. Next slide. My internship at Dana-Farber has helped me realize that being responsible, managing my time, and having excellent listening and communication skills will help me at every moment in my life. Whether I'm using these skills at work or at home, they help me better use my time, and these skills also help me feel less overwhelmed. My experience on Yaki 8 has also helped me realize that the yearn that I have to work with patients. The career that I'm currently pursuing is becoming a nurse. So seeing the patient interaction has inspired me to become a nurse even more. And my experience has also helped me learn techniques on how to effectively communicate with patients. Next slide. I would just like to thank Keisha, Candice, Rachita, Barbara, and Sandy for such a wonderful experience. I can't wait for the summer program to start and continue growing with everyone. Next slide. And I just want to say thank you for listening. And does anyone have any questions?
All right. Great job, Katia. Any questions? All right. Thank you. We will move on to our next speaker, Tiffany, who works in head and neck oncology.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany Wen. I am currently a senior at the John D. O'Brien High School, and I will be attending UMass Dartmouth within the fall. This year, I got to work alongside my supervisor, Evan Carey, in the head and neck oncology department. Next slide, please. The head and neck oncology program is dedicated to treating patients with head and neck cancers. Our team of specialists will work with you to create a treatment plan tailored to your type of cancer, as well as your lifestyle and personal needs, to achieve the best possible outcome. Next slide. In this department, some of my responsibilities are to enter patient labs and surveys into Inform. I would put in patient information like their vital signs and other information that I can gather from the nurse's note on Epic. I also enter surveys that patient take before and after surgery. I also navigate patient information using Epic, and I also make lab kits. Since now I started going into the office once a week, I get the opportunity to make the lab kits by putting certain tubes in the bag and going to drop it off so the nurses can retrieve things from the patients. Next slide. Within the head and neck oncology department, I was able to gather more skills such as multitasking, since I was switching between patients when entering into patient information, but I always make sure to double check my work and putting in accurate information. I also do data entry. I started off my journey in this department doing data, and it was hard for me at first to navigate where all the information was, but the more I did, the more I got better at it. And since I am getting better at it, it will help me when I transfer into the summer internship. I also expand my knowledge in medical terms. Before starting this department, I did not know any medical terms. I only knew a few from what I learned from biology class or Grey's Anatomy. But by doing data entry and looking at patient files, I am learning more medical terms and the meaning of each terms. I am also certified in Epic. As mentioned, I use Epic to help me navigate patient information. And in order to use Epic, I had to be certified, and I'm grateful to have that opportunity. Next slide. This is my second academic year in the workforce development program. I started my journey in October of 2019 on site in the Department of Clinical and Professional Development with my supervisor, Mary Murray. Then I transitioned into the summer internship of 2020, working in the Department Division of Philanthropy with my supervisors, Ryan and Jessamine. And now, like everyone else, it was hard. It was a hard transition from being on site to online. After online, I am not gonna lie, it was hard at first going into a new department, but I eventually got the hang of it. And my supervisor, Evan, and the head and neck oncology team made it an easier transition. I can genuinely say I learned something new every day, from the medical terms to learning about the different clinical trials that these patients are on and how these trials will help them. After my 2 years in the workforce development program, I have taken a lot from it. I have learned so much from the different departments that I was in, and from the weekly workshops we would have, that has helped my thought process within the college process and better understanding of the different parts of the medical field. Next slide. I would like to thank Candace Burns, my supervisor, Evan Carey, Rachida Heron Yakit, Sandy Wen, and the head and neck oncology team. Next slide. Thank you for your time. Questions?
All right, great job, Tiffany. Any questions for Tiffany? Be sure to read the chat messages, Tiffany. Okay, moving along, our next presenter is Taisha St. Julie's, and she works on Yawkey 6 in adult ambulatory services. Taisha?
Good afternoon. My name is Taisha St. Jules. I'm a rising senior at John D. O'Brien. I worked at Dana-Farber for 2 summers in the security department with Ralph Marinette. Sorry, I had to do that. And a virtual summer program led by Rachida, Candace, and Sandy, and now my first academic year in adult ambulatory services on Yawkey 6 to Carly Terry. So first off, the goal of my department, like all of Dana-Farber in general, is to provide excellent patient care while advancing the understanding, diagnosis, treatment, cure, and prevention of cancer. And my department contributes by holding phase 1 clinical trials. We have 3 types of rooms on the floor: infusion, exam, and procedure. In infusion, patients get blood drawn, EKGs are done. Here they're watching to see how the patients react to these treatments, which is the first step for FDA approval for cancer treatment. In exam rooms, standard treatment is done for patients with sarcoma. In procedure rooms, bone marrow and skin biopsies, which I actually got to see myself, and chemotherapy are done, and these are all done as diagnostic studies for cancer. Next slide, please. So let's talk about how I contribute. I do hands-on and office work. When I'm hands-on, I'm stalking, doing explorations on the appliances in exam, infusion, and procedure rooms. I only clean exam and infusion rooms. I take blood samples to the lab and log PKs, which are research samples. And my personal favorite, I deliver lunch and tend to patients. In the office, I file paperwork, create EKG folders, scan, print, and copy documents. Next. Some skills I picked up this year and overall is communication. Since I tend to patients, I've learned that they can smell fear, so you have to be confident, alongside being patient and respectful, which I need to get used to since I want to be a nurse. Also, Terry and Carlisha are not always there. I work until 5:30, so I had to learn how to appropriately approach my colleagues, like the nurses or the CAs, to ask for help. Next, patient confidentiality. Again, I work so closely with them and around doctors and nurses. I hear a lot, I see a lot, but all that stuff should never be repeated. Also, when I move from room to room, I need to be aware that sometimes patients want their space and I must respect their privacy. Lastly, professional emailing and navigating the college process. I've learned through various workshops done with this program, emailing people professionally in this generation is such an underrated skill, and I think everyone should learn how to communicate professionally. The college readiness workshops helped me learn what's good to look for when applying to college and when colleges look for in applicants, which was an extreme stress reliever since I'm a rising senior. Next. Some of my most memorable experiences are why I love this program so much. Summer 2019, I worked with Ralph Norette and Kevin Duncan in security. First off, Ralph is the very reason why I'm interested in healthcare. I walked into this program ready to be a lawyer for criminal injustice. He also helped me just stop being shy. He made me and a colleague do a presentation on AEDs to some members of the security department, which was very uncomfortable. Kevin Duncan, a locksmith, took me all over Dana-Farber and every other campus fixing people's problems. And I learned that working in a hospital is more than just doctor, nurse. There's many other job opportunities. I also did a presentation with my lunch group last summer on diversity in clinical drug trials. I really enjoyed being able to speak on how to involve more people from where I live and my background. That was also very nerve-wracking. Then this year, my first academic year, as I mentioned before, I need to just stop being shy and start talking to patients, be open with them because they don't bite. With the program in general, I enjoyed our Hale reservation trip. It was memorable because the worker taught us the importance of setting our differences aside and working together gets the job done faster. And that was a valuable life lesson for me. Lastly, I've grown a lot mentally. I'm not the little 15-year-old that walks into this program anymore. I'm more aware of life, adulthood, and just ready for my next few steps because of this program, which brings me to my appreciation speech. Next slide. I want to say thank you to Candace, Kevin, Carlisha, Rachida, Terry, Ralph, and Sandy for giving me the opportunity to grow and guiding me to success. It is greatly appreciated, and thank you all for listening. Now, if anyone has any questions for me, I'm ready.
Thank you, Taisha. Are you reading the comments?
I have a question for Taisha.
Sure, Mariana.
Throughout the college tours that we had, was there any college that stood out to you for you to apply in the future?
Yes, actually, my freshman year, the first time I was working with Dana-Farber, we went on an actual campus tour of MCPHS, which is actually across the street from Dana-Farber, and that is probably my dream school. I wanted to go there since the minute we stepped foot on campus, and I really hope I get into that school.
Great. Thank you, Taisha. There's some great comments for you in the chat. Please be sure to read them. And it's been such a pleasure watching you grow. I know Ralph is in the room as well, where you first started in security. So Ralph, thank you for joining us.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah,
Our next,
congratulations, Taisha. It's Terry. Thank you so much for all you do for me.
thank you, Terry. All right. Our next presenter is Felicia, who works in the Friends Place.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. My name is Felicia Sametto. I'm currently a sophomore at the John D. O'Brien, and I've worked at Dana-Farber for a little less than a year now. And this school year, I got the chance to work at the Friends Place boutique with my supervisor, Deborah Flynn. Next slide. Friends Place is on the first floor of the Yawkey building, which is right across from the Dana building. At Friends Place, patients get offered the tools they need to reclaim some of what they feel is lost after their diagnosis. We offer a range of products such as wigs, head coverings, skincare items, books, and gifts. The gift shop is also on the first floor of Yawkey and sells Dana merchandise such as vests, sweaters, cups, bottles, jewelry, and a mix of other things. E-commerce is a mix of the boutique and the Friends Place, but it's online. And Chestnut Hill is another branch of Dana-Farber that also has a boutique. Next slide. Throughout the school year, I've taken many responsibilities, such as conducting inventory using the QS1 system, distributing donations to healthcare workers, such as hand sanitizer, delivering ordered clothing for patients on breast oncology, and creating labels for a backstock filing system for cancer pins and bracelets. Next slide. Some skills I learned this school year were customer service over the phone, where I got to pay invoices, building a personal brand with Karen Hines with using LinkedIn, executive functioning skills such as time management, and I got to learn how to use platforms such as Microsoft Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Smartsheets. Next slide. Throughout the year, we did many things at Dana-Farber, and my favorite were the workshops and college tours. And my favorite college tour was the Rhode Island College Tour, and I thought the campus was really pretty and the community seems really nice. And I even got to add it on my list of possible colleges. I also liked the one-on-one meetings with Rashid and Candace because it was really nice having one-on-one support, and they even helped me with SAT practice. And also my last favorite was Hail Reservation because I got to speak to my coworkers and make friends. So it was really great. Next slide. I would like to thank Kayla Owls, Fedora Etzler, Deborah Flynn, Maliha Wasim, the Friends Place staff, and the Workforce Development team. Thank you. Next slide. Any questions?
Great. Thank you, Felicia. Any questions?
Sorry, Deb, I saw you mouthed good job there, so I'm putting on the spotlight so everyone can see you.
All right. Nice. Thank you, Deborah, for being here, and thank you for supporting our students and supporting Felicia. Okay, we're going to move on to the next presenter. Our next presenter is Emran Sheikh, and he works on Yawkey 8 in ambulatory practice management.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emran. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior at Fenimore High School. I work at the Adult Ambulatory Services. My supervisors are Robert Jones and Takisa Boyd. I'm an aspiring nurse, and I'm attending this fall MCPHS for nursing. Next slide. The mission of Ambulatory Services is supporting the Dana-Farber Disease Center patients to deliver the care to its patients. We are developing new solutions to efficient clinic, control costs, and improving the quality of patient care. Yawkey 8 treats specific blood cancers like leukemia, lymphoma, bone marrow, and hemp surfaces. This connects to the overall DFCI mission because we provide the outstanding cancer care patients. Next slide, please. Next slide. Responsibilities. I clean rooms to provide sanitized rooms for doctors and patients, restock medical supplies, create clinic schedule for the next day, organize storage rooms, answer patient questions, and support the front desk by paging doctors or answering CA's questions. Next slide. Skills. I gained more independence while working at Yawkey 8 because I realized that my supervisors can't always check my work, and I make sure that I have responsibilities to achieve. organized. My work has to be organized to do my work because it could be very hectic at times. Empathetic. We work with cancer patients, so I try my best to get a welcoming environment because they're going through a tough time. I learned professionalism in the workplace. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Acknowledgements. Kisa Boyd, Candace Burns, Rachida, Barbara, Katya, and Sandy, and Yaki team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you skipped a slide, Sandy. Yes, my story. My internship at Dana-Farber improved me as a whole. I learned better interpersonal skills about how we communicate with CAs and made me a better communicator in general. I gained more confidence with what I want to do with my future now and working in a hospital and developed independence. I saw myself unsure what to do until I became a CA, and now I want to be a nurse. Next slide. Next slide. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Emron. Any questions for Emron?
I just want to say congratulations, Imran. It's Miss Cohen from Fenway. I've loved watching your journey, and I'm excited to see you as a nurse. You've grown so much during your time at Fenway, and it's clear that interning at Dana-Farber has been a big part of that growth. So congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Thank you for joining us and supporting our Fenway students and all our students. Everyone is doing so great. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next presenter, Paola Taveras, and she works in hematology oncology. Paola?
Thank you, Rachida. Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Taveras, and I'm now a senior at UMass Boston, majoring in biology with a minor in cognitive science. I've worked at the FCI for about 5 years, and I'm currently working in the hematology oncology department with my supervisor, Brandy Bertrude. Next slide. I specifically work in the Boston Children's Hospital Division of Hematology Oncology, which serves as an integrated pediatric hematology and oncology program with the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, thus forming the Cancer and Blood Disorder Center. The work of both institutions has provided more specialists, more programs, and more clinical trials than almost any other pediatric center treating cancer and blood disorders in the world. Specifically in this department, I work closely with the Keen Lab that works towards unraveling the mysteries of immune recognition and immune tolerance in hopes of finding how to best prevent and treat autoimmune diseases. Next slide. My responsibilities encompass monitoring and tracking clinical data and documentation to ensure that all information for FDA approval is accurate and organized. To do such, I monitor clinical data for research trials in the REDCap database. I complete clinical abstraction from PowerChart for patients that are enrolled on the research study. I also track regulatory documentation from the 14 study sites that participate in this phase 2 clinical trial. I also attend clinical and research meetings to track progress for patients on these research studies, and I also participate in lab meetings to learn about the non-human primate and human subjects research that takes place in the Keen Lab. As I had stated, my work thus far has been efforts going towards FDA approval for a drug that we are currently observing through clinical trials, and this drug is called ABO2, and it's meant to help treat graft versus host disease. Next slide. So ABO2, this is a research study that is a phase 2 clinical trial testing the safety and effectiveness of the drug. We've enrolled 186 bone marrow transplant patients and completed enrollment in November of 2017. We are currently following patients who have expected end of follow-up in January 2023, meaning that by this time we're expected to have collected all the data that is necessary. We have 14 different study sites, 13 in the United States and 1 in Canada, and we received the Breakthrough Therapy designation from the FDA in 2019, which is a preliminary approval for the drug from the FDA. Next slide. This department is my first virtual placement, thus having been very impactful to me. I've met some great people in this department and within the Keen Lab, They've shown me compassion and understanding in the workplace, and I couldn't be more appreciative for this team and their efforts in making sure that I know I belong. I truly cannot wait to continue working with my team. In this department, I've learned to maneuver around the tribulations of working with a team virtually, requiring a lot of flexibility and communication. I was also able to learn more of the research aspects of healthcare, like good clinical practice and human subjects protection. I've also learned more of the conducting and managing of clinical trials and compliance with FDA regulations, as well as the importance of attention to detail in terms of managing clinical data for research studies. Having worked at Dana-Farber for the past 5 years, I've been in a total of 4 departments where I've had many experiences that have impacted me. Some things seem to overlap in terms of working efficiently in a team and being critical and precise with my own work. I've also learned that attention to detail is important in many different aspects, no matter the work you do. Precision has shown to be very important in this work. And as things overlap, they also differ amongst these departments in terms of the knowledge I've acquired with the aspects I've been exposed to. This department has unveiled the research aspect of healthcare that I wasn't too knowledgeable about, whereas in other departments, I've also had the pleasure of learning about the legal and financial side of healthcare. Before this internship at Dana-Farber, I only thought of the medical aspect of healthcare without being aware of the different components that contribute to patient care. So my years here have definitely broadened my horizons and my knowledge. Next slide. I would like to acknowledge Kayla Betts, Brandy Bertrude, Candace Burns, Miranda Fry, Rachida Hiranyake, Sandy Nguyen, Brittany Wright, the Hematology and Oncology Division, including the Keen Lab, for taking me in as one of their own very quickly, and my fellow workforce development trainees. Thank you, everyone. Next slide. Oh, any questions?
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to chime in and say thanks so much, Paola. You've just done a great job on our team this academic year, and we're so thrilled to have you for summer session as well. So well done.
Thank you. Brandy.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Leslie, for being here.
Absolutely. It's such a joy and an honor to have to work with you guys and have Paola in the group.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Paola has been with us for 5 years, people.
We got so lucky.
5 years, 4 departments. She's a rising senior at UMass Boston, and when she graduates, you know, she's going to be looking for a job. So just wanted to put that out there.
We're going to try to snag her up.
I know there's other supervisors in the space, so.
Thank you.
All right, great job, Paola. Our next presenter is Maliha Wasim in CMCF.
Hello everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Maliha Wasim and I'm a sophomore at John D. O'Brien, and today I will be presenting on my experience with Dana-Farber in the past year, and I will also talk about the skills that I've learned in my department, which is cell manipulation core facility with my supervisor, Zanko Desai, and my colleagues. Next slide. Sorry. Next slide, please. The mission of cell manipulation core facility is to sorry. No, back. Yes. Okay. Ready? The mission of cell manipulation core facility is to produce safe and effective cellular products for standard therapies, novel clinical research protocols, and they manufacture cellular products for both inpatient and outpatients within Dana-Farber, Birmingham Women's Hospital, and any pediatric programs covered under Harvard Cancer Care. And by doing so, not only are they supporting cancer trials, but gene therapy and regenerative medicine trials, as well as providing analytical and quality control testing on all their products prior to release. Next slide. In my department, my job is to insert the patient sample papers of the patients into FileMaker Pro, Microsoft Excel, and various other systems. And often I would have to print those papers out and correctly file them in their corresponding binders. In addition to that, I complete tasks that my supervisor gives me whether it's creating new binders, filing, scanning, or making copies. And by performing these tasks, I'm learning how to use technology better and helping my colleagues and supervisors save time so they can perform other tasks that I'm unable to help with. Next slide. By completing my job responsibilities, I have developed administrative skills such as data entry, printing, copying, and filing. And I've started to improve my organization skills and learn to pay closer attention to numbers and stats so I don't make mistakes often. Next slide. This internship at Dana has made me become a better student because now I'm able to manage my schoolwork and the after-school activities along with working for Dana by learning how to prioritize my tasks and creating a productive schedule that helps my education and workplace. And working with CMCF has given me my very first professional workplace exposure and made me overcome my fears of making mistakes, such as entering wrong information in the computer. Moreover, the program offers workshops and activities every other Tuesday to us student trainees, and we even started off the school year program with a student retreat to Hale Reservation, which was a very fun bonding experience that included ropes courses and team activities. And I've also learned about a lot of different colleges around the state, which has been really helpful to me, especially now that I'll be thinking about colleges in the near future. Next slide, please. Now, lastly, I would like to especially thank my colleague and Zonkar Desai, my supervisor, for welcoming me to the department and teaching me how to settle in. And I also like to thank Ratida, Candice, and Sandy for making all this happen and giving us student trainees such a great opportunity so early in our lives. And lastly, I would like to thank Felicia, Kayla, and Fedora who are currently in this program with me for being there and for being there when I felt stressed and needed to communicate with somebody. Next slide. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Any questions?
All right, great job, Maliha. Any questions for Maliha? Okay, be sure to read your chats, Maliha. Our next presenter is Altani Watson, and he works in informatics and analytics. Altani?
Hi, everyone. My name is Altani Watson. I am a rising senior at Fenway High School. I was in the informatics and analytics department with my supervisors, Erica Wolf and Irina Camus. I've been at Dana-Farber since the summer of 2019, working in an in-person department in medical oncology. And then I moved into the virtual internship and then coming to the school year internship finally. Next slide, please. My department's mission is to really provide a lot of tools to people throughout the entirety of Dana-Farber. We want to help patients and doctors on their mission to provide the best patient care and help patients sustain their lives. Next slide, please. I had a lot of responsibilities with this internship. First, I worked on Encore, which is a program that holds information about people who work at Dana-Farber. And I'm able to look in, see who is still on task, off task, people who are still employed or unemployed. And I make sure that they have access to what they need. When recruiting for eLab Journal, it's something that is pretty new. Not a lot of people know about it, but we're trying to roll it out and make sure that a lot of people in Dana-Farber have access to it. It is a new format or program that we are trying to roll out. It helps people access the stuff from the labs from home. For one example is if someone has samples in a fridge, you are able to go and look inside that from your phone or your computer from the safety of your home. I also attended and presented at eLab Journal trainings, helping recruit more people to the system and answer any questions that anybody had. Next slide, please. Some tools that I used were Encore. I used Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, and Teams, which is where I communicated with my supervisors and my other coworkers. Next slide, please. So I've always wanted to have a career in healthcare, but I never really wanted to take and pursue the role of a doctor. I wanted to have an impact on people, but I didn't really want to work directly with patients. However, when I came to Dana-Farber, I realized that a hospital or anything working with the medical field isn't all about doctors, it isn't all about treating with patients. But you can help people with technology, you can help someone working with business. And it gave me a new path to set onto, a new purpose, and that is working with data and people. So I can have an indirect impact and still do a lot for people. Next slide, please. I've had a lot of great takeaways from this program, one being time management. I've always struggled with completing things in an orderly manner. I've normally rushed through them or complete them at the last minute, but Dana-Farber really helped me balance my time with a lot of different assignments. I've also learned and seen how it feels to contribute to a workforce and make a difference in people's lives. And building a network of colleagues and mentors in the future, like my supervisor, Erica, who has been really helpful and caring throughout this internship. And now I have a professional outlook onto what it means to work in the healthcare scene. Next slide, please. I'd like to acknowledge Candace Burns, Camille Henry, Rashida Hiranyake, Irina Kamis, Sandy Nguyen, Kevin Townley, and Erica Wolf for being by my side throughout this entire internship. Next slide, please. Any questions?
All right, great job, Altani. Be sure to read your chats. I know Erica and Irina are in the house.
They are. I couldn't be more pleased. It is so amazing to see everything from your perspective, Altani, and it's been great working with you. And I think that what's really special is that you really did contribute. Like we didn't make up work for you. We had you come in and we pretty much threw everything at you and you were so eager. And it was great. It was great to see you complete these tasks. It actually helped us. I'm wondering, can we clone you or get more of you? I see cell manipulation therapies has like 5 interns. How can that happen for informatics will be my next question. But really, you taught us things too. And I thank you for all your time and effort.
Thank you, Erica. Thanks for your support and your time, your mentorship, Irina as well. Altani will be continuing this summer in informatics, so you'll still have him, and you want more students, just we can meet and talk later.
Right, thank you.
All right, so moving on. Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So our next speaker is Abigail Williams, and she works in the Jimmy Fund Clinic, Pediatric Oncology. Abigail?
Hello, my name's Abigail Williams. I am a rising senior at John D. O'Brien. My department is the Jimmy Fund Clinic, Pediatric Oncology, with my supervisors, Chris Washington and Priscilla Camacho. Next slide, please. The mission and function of the Pediatric Oncology Department. Their mission is a joint hematology and oncology program between Dana-Farber and Boston Children's Hospital. The Jimmy Fund Clinic offers comprehensive family-centered services for children with a suspected or diagnosed cancer, but also to make the cancer journey less of a burden to patients and their families, handling patient schedules and appointments, making sure that the patients are aware of future procedures, but also doctor visits. Next slide, please. Right here, you can see where the patients are checked in, but also where they wait to be called to the back so they can get their procedures done. They can receive chemo or whatever else needs to be done to them. Next slide, please. Here is where the patients are able to sit and receive chemo, or if they need to be monitored by nurses, CAs, or if there needs to be blood work done, and many more procedures happening. Next slide, please. My responsibilities at the Jimmy Fund Clinic are to check in patients, which includes printing the itinerary, providing wristbands, but also preparing blue sheets for the clinical assistants. Blue sheets, which would consist of the list of things that needs to be done during the patient's appointments. Also filing patient procedure consent forms, creating procedure packets, and printing labels for next day procedures. Nightly sweeps to ensure patient information is not left out and to collect badges at the end of the day, but also conduct weekly inventory of the nutrition cabinet. Next slide, please. skills. A few skills I acquired while at the Jimmy Fund Clinic are Epic Knowledge, because I am certified in Epic, but also Boston Children's Hospital Power Chart, or Citrix, Microsoft Outlook and Excel, customer service skills, as I am constantly talking to patients, time management, organization skills, but also problem-solving skills. Next slide, please. Behind the scenes and work of the clinical teams, being at Dana-Farber for 2 years, which is 2 summers and 1 school years, I have been in several departments, but I've also got to see that in a hospital, it's not just doctors and nurses, but also people who order instruments needed for clinical trials, but also are there filing, making sure all patients' work are in orders. Because of my amazing supervisor, I was also able to shadow the lead clinical assistant every Wednesday, and I was also able to sit down with a PA at the Jimmy Fund Clinic because I aspire to be a PA in the future. Personal and professional growth in a positive work environment. I got to see what it was like working in a space where it's open, you're open to share your opinion, what works for you, what doesn't, but also you're not afraid to speak your mind about troubles that is happening to you in your personal or in your work life. Also, communication network with Dana-Farber staff. As I previously said, my supervisor, he has got me in different departments, but also with different people all around the hospital. I get to shadow CAs. I've met several people who have gone through the journey of wanting to become a PA, or people who are currently going through that. I get to meet with different adults who are willing to advise me on my college plans, but also how I should stay, true to myself and the things that I would like to do moving forward in my future, but also getting to meet college advisors and getting to network with different people within different colleges. Next slide, please. I would like to say thank you to Candace Burns, Priscilla Camacho, Rachida Hiron-Yacket, Sandy Nguyen, Christopher Washington, the entire of the Pediatric Oncology Department, but also the students of the Workforce Development. Next slide, please. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, great job, Abigail. Any questions for Abigail? Okay, great. I mean, I think this is my favorite year, Candace, but I'll let you close us out.
I don't know. My face hurts from smiling so much. I don't know whether to smile. You all brought some tears to my eyes because I'm just overwhelmed by your awesomeness. I mean, that's what I have to say. Let me start by, in a few weeks, so this is graduation season, and we have 6 of our trainees that are seniors that are graduating. So let's do a little shout out and hand clap for all of them. And as you enter this next phase, you heard many are going on to nursing degrees and other healthcare related degrees. And that's what this work is really all about. This learning and development takes a village. So it takes our students, taking the risk and entering programs like this and making that commitment to balance internship with life, with academics and everything else. It takes, our families and mentors and educators to continue to support and be cheerleaders and just, wrap us in that their goodness and their strength, and continue to mentor us, whether it's formally or informally. And it takes, our supervisors. I'm so thankful for those of you who really step up and say, I want to do this. In addition to everything else on my plate, I want to supervise one of your student trainees. You invest in yourselves and you invest in them. And for that, this program is even that much more successful. I have to shout out to my HR colleagues, many who were here, some who are still in the room. And I just got to say, Kate, because I look at my screen and you're right there. Kate is our colleague in Learning OD, and we partner often with Learning and OD to bring forth some of the some of the wraparound services and curriculum to the students. So I don't know, Kate, I just saw you and you've been here the whole time. So thank you so much. And Kate is fairly new to Dana-Farber and really looking forward to her presenting to our students this summer. So with that, we are ending on time. And I just want to thank you all, congratulate you all, and till next time, we'll see you in the summer.